Let's dive into A Thrilling Book Box by Yarnaceous Fibers. Hello, my name is Emily Crow from The Cozy Crow, and welcome to my YouTube channel. And I'm not sure when this video will come out. I am a little bit behind on this book box. I have been meaning to get to it, and I just have not had the chance to get started. And now my library loan expires in 2 days. So I'm gonna bust through this book and take you along with me as I do so. If you aren't familiar with Yarnaceous Fibers' book boxes, they come out every other month, and inside this box there's different packages of goodies, yarn related, yarn adjacent, and even things that are just like fun little treats that are coordinated with different pages of the book that Maggie has selected. And the book that she selected for this book box is First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston, which is a thriller. It should be a fairly quick read. It was a 9-hour audiobook, if I remember correctly. I plan to read an ebook for this from my library. I really liked that this isn't a mystery book box in the way that others are. Before you even purchase, you know what the book is going to be. So you can decide if you want to buy it, if you want to get a library loan. It might take a little while for your hold to come in, or if you already have it on your bookshelf. I've really liked that about her book boxes. I am working the next couple of nights, and at the end of this weekend of night shifts, this book loan expires. So we have to work quickly to read this book. So I'm going to be powering through, opening tons of packages, and then working on the pattern that is included in this box to go with the yarn. I have a few other videos like this on my channel for Yarnaceous Fibers book boxes because I really enjoyed the process of opening a box inspired by a book, including yarn and even a pattern that have a connection to the book, and it just makes it a really fun experience opening all these little packages. It's greatly motivating. I think this might be my 4th or 5th one that I've read. So let's jump right in and take a look at what's inside the box. Let's knit together. Oh, I got a coupon code. Love that. Ooh, and some treats. Some chips and some M&Ms. Let's organize and talk about next steps. I'm intrigued by these goodies, especially the M&Ms and the barbecue chips. I want to know where those come into this story. Also, one of the bags is like bursting open. It did not close because of what's stuffed inside. That's the very last package we're going to open, so I'm trying not to peek and spoil it for myself. I will be really excited to see it in a little bit when I get close to finishing this book. I like that our book club sticker is different now, so that's a fun change. And if I'd opened this book box earlier, I could have used the coupon code on the next book box. Well, I'm going to be ordering more, so it's fine. The first package is going to be opened on page 12, chapter 2. So I think I'll get to that before I take my nap. I like to read a couple chapters of a book, kind of winding down before I go to sleep, especially getting ready for night shifts. So definitely going to get to that. We'll see how far I think I will get at work. I work as a nurse, and hopefully people are sleeping during the night. But also, if we have a big admit or something, I might be really busy. We shall see. But I want to come prepared just in case. There is a page 82, page 115. So I'm going to bring 2 of these, because even if I have a really slow night, I can't see myself reading more than like 150 pages of a book. That's just a lot of reading to do when you're trying to stay awake in the middle of the night. Let's get started on the book and we can take a look at this. This is not yarn. Gives us a little bit of time to clear my knitting needles over the next day or so. So then we can start knitting whatever pattern we find in this mix. I've heard that people really like this book. I don't really know much about it, but this is a thriller that when it came out, I had it on my radar. I don't tend to want to read a lot of thrillers. I'm more of a mystery person. Thrillers tend to just be about really crummy people doing really crummy things to other really crummy people. And sometimes that makes me feel kind of icky. But when I originally read the synopsis for this book, I was intrigued and interested, and I've heard good things about it. So I'm really excited to jump in. It should be a really quick read. My Kindle said people on average read this in about 7 hours of reading time. I need to finish this book before my library loan returns. Ryan's hair is longer than it was when we first met. When I first started watching him, y'all, the red flags are flying everywhere. Both sides of this relationship, and I'm 9 pages in. This is gonna be a wild ride, I can already tell. Oh, they're perfume bottles. I'll show in better light later. All right, I am on page 45. I am 14% of the way into this book. And what a wild ride, especially because I had no idea what this was about. I had totally forgotten the synopsis, and I just jumped right in before I read the back cover. So definitely recommend for a book like this. It was really fun as things were getting shared. It's still very mysterious, and I don't know exactly what is going on, but I do know, and I double checked the back cover, so I know even more now, that Evie Porter is not a real person, that she is like fulfilling a contract. She is trying to portray something to get her Mark, who is her boyfriend. I mentioned red flags. There's definitely some secrets going on both sides. And so I am really curious to find out what this guy that's her Mark, what his story is, what secrets he's keeping, what he's involved with. So I'm interested about that. She's trying to infiltrate this man's life, his friends, his work, things like that. And she has this fixation with Thursdays because apparently he travels every Thursday for work. There's something significant about that, but I don't know what. We got this big truth dropped that her real identity has maybe been stolen. I don't know. It's also included on the back cover that something's happening with her real identity. So I am very intrigued to see what's going on. This is very different than any other thriller I've read. And so I'm really enjoying myself. It is giving me kind of like spy vibes, but I feel like there's a lot more going on than meets the eye. This lighting is not doing anything for my eye bags. I've been reading First Lie Wins, and I am really enjoying it. It's very engaging for me. It definitely has thriller vibes, but in a way that's different than any other thriller I've read, which I'm really enjoying because clearly this main character is morally gray. But it's a very morally gray, not like they're a despicable person who knows that they're a horrible person and keeps doing things anyway. I'm really intrigued to learn more about these characters, especially because I think both this female main character, who's like the main focus of the story, and Ryan, the person that she has a contract to infiltrate, both have some big secrets. So I'm excited to learn more. I'm on page 102. I was hoping I would get farther last night at work, and I did not make it that far. I am 30% of the way into the book. So I've got a little ways to go. I'm hoping to get through a little bit. My next package is on page 115. And I think that might be a full skein of yarn and the start of the pattern. And then the next package is on page 122. So I would love to read 20 pages right now as I'm winding down for bed in preparation for my nap in between night shifts, just to wind down and open these next couple packages. And then when the lighting's better, I will take a few videos and show you the things that I have in a little bit better lighting. We're at the point in the story where we're learning all about different aliases that this main character has had. Currently she is Evie Porter, but now we're going back in time, finding out how she first got her start in nefarious things and how she was picked up by Mr. Smith to do these bigger jobs and have more resources and things. So now we're being introduced to different experiences that she's had, and I'm curious to see to what extent these experiences are building her up as a character, sharing a backstory, versus have a connection to her present day timeline. I'm very curious. But I'm going to close my blinds. I'm going to turn off the lights. I'm going to take my melatonin and I'm going to settle in for some cozy reading to kind of quiet my brain and get ready for bed. Totally caught me by surprise. This is the Cosmo Cash Lace, which is 82% wool, 18% brushed cashmere. So this will feel really nice and also very cozy. The colorway is called Just a Ghost, and it came with a pattern, which is not socks, it's a hat, which is so fun. I don't think we've had a hat. I will be holding this yarn and a DK weight skein together. We don't have to start yet. You should have seen my face when I opened it up. I was not expecting something that wasn't a skein of sock yarn, so it totally threw me off guard, but I'm really excited to be able to work on a hat soon. Let's open up this other package in just a couple pages, and then I'm gonna take my nap. Page 127. I am now 38% of the way in, and it's time to sleep. So, good night. Hello. We are a little bit more fresh after taking a good nap and having a shower, and I got called off work tonight. I will not be going in at all, which is amazing. I switched over to like a night shift schedule because I was planning on working tonight also, so I'll probably stay up kind of late because that's what my body's used to, and I can finish this book. I don't have to stress about trying to fit it in between cares for my patients, which is amazing. I'm so excited. It'll be really fun to just stay up late and binge this read, I think. Since my Libby loan will be expiring at like 7:30 in the morning tomorrow, so I'm running out of time. I wanted to talk a little bit more about this yarn. I'm really excited to be able to make this hat. Like, I'm so stoked. I love that color. So fun. And then looking at this pattern, it's called the Twisted Games hat by Maggie Fangman, who is the dyer behind Yarnaceous. So she designed this hat herself. I'm really excited. This piece of paper has the information for downloading the pattern, for all the like sizes, the things you need, gauge, different terms for cabling, increasing, decreasing, etc., etc. Also what needles you use. She recommends a size 4 circular needle. I could totally do a gauge swatch, but hats are small enough that I think when I have the yarn, I'm just going to cast on and try it out. My head is slightly on the smaller side, so I'll probably pick the smaller side, cast on, knit the brim, see how it fits, see if I like it, and then go from there if I need to like undo it or if I continue on. But this has the cast on instructions and it looks like the brim. I can't get started yet because I don't have the DK weight yarn to hold with this lace, but I think that's going to be in the next package, which is on page 187. So I've got 60 pages left before I get to this. Not too far. I can easily read that tonight and then pick out my needles, maybe cast on tonight or tomorrow. I'm so excited. And then one more package after that. This is page 305. So that'll be a while. That'll give me time to read the book. At the very least, I can knit the brim while also reading on my Kindle. So that should be really fun. Other than the yarn in the other package I opened right before my nap, I got this cute little case. It's from Bad Friggin' Design. And there's nothing inside it, so I can fill it with whatever I want to. I'll have to think about how I want to outfit this, but I think stitch markers will go in here, maybe tapestry needles. Maybe if I have a pair of like little snip scissors that would fit in here. I love having those little Notion cases. I love having Notion. My gosh. I love having Notion cases. I can't talk. I love having Notion cases like that to organize all my little bits and bobs so that I can just throw the case in my project bag and then I know I have everything that I could possibly need for a project. Looking at what the terms are on the beginning of the pattern, I may run into some fun cables. I'm gonna spend some time with my family and enjoy this evening because I have so much more time now. I'm so excited to be called off. I haven't been called off for like over a year at my job. We've been so short-staffed. So this is gonna be such a treat. And then when I come back, I will get working on this book and working towards the next package so we can hopefully cast on this hat tonight while I am staying up late and kind of readjusting to be on a day shift type of schedule. All right, I've totally wasted this afternoon and evening away, but I'm ready to read. And because I prepared my body for night shift, I'm hoping I'll be able to just stay up late and just cruise through the rest of this book. I've got a little over 3 hours to read, so I've been reading at a pretty quick pace. I have a vanilla sock to work on for a Christmas present, and let's just get right into it. We have, like, I think I said, 60 pages before we get to the next package. I'm going to take you along more as I work on the actual pattern, but I think I will save that for tomorrow after I've read this book. Unexpected death, and we're not sure how our main character Evie is supposed to respond to it. Is it a warning? Is it a threat? Is someone else at play? So many questions. I have a theory, but I hope that my theory is only part of what's going on. I hope there's a lot more to it because I would love to be surprised. Now we know these are their car snacks for their road trip. Good morning. I am trying to get through as much this morning as I can because I did not get through this book. I finished on page 244, so my Kindle said I had maybe an hour and a half left in my book. And I was wrong. I had like 3.5 hours left. So I did do quite a bit of reading last night, but I turned on airplane mode and I'm going to try to read as much as I can this morning, but I am having a great time. I love seeing this Evie character, how she has been working for the past maybe like 8 to 10 years on building her own network of resources, and she's trying to stir things up with her employer because she doesn't feel safe with her employer right now. And so the plot is thickening. I am very excited, and now like all these players are like coming into focus right now. It's very interesting. I'm having a really great time. This is very different than any other thriller I've read before. Hey, hey, hey. I've got the last part of the pattern with decreases and whatnot. Cute bag from Out of the Woods, made of paper. This is a paper pulp sourced from responsibly managed forests, bonded to make it durable and washable. It's like a cooler bag. I thought maybe it could be a project bag, but this would be great for lunch. I've only got like 30 or so pages left of this book. Thankfully, my library loan has not been returned yet, even though it is after 7:30. So I am squeaking in as much as I can, and then if I have to, I'll turn to the audiobook for the last few chapters. But I'm gonna finish winding up this yarn, maybe casting on and working on the brim while I finish this book. I just need to brag. Look at my long tail cast on. Literally perfect. Perfect. Finished the brim. I started round 1 of the actual body of the hat. And I realized that I casted on only 100 stitches instead of 108. Time to frog. I have finally caught up to where I was before I realized my mistake. I'm gonna put this down and we'll come back to the cables another time, I think. Hello, it has been a minute. It is actually February. I took a big break from this project because December, gift giving, etc. Things just got too busy. I put this on hold for a long time and I'm finally getting back to it after holiday craziness, and I had a lot of commitments in January. Now I can work on this and I'm really excited to get back to this. Since it had been so long, I couldn't remember how to do these crossed stitches or cabled stitches, and so I looked it up and I found some conflicting data online. So I reached out to Maggie to get some clarification on exactly what the difference in these stitches are. So I'm going to share with you just like a mini stitch tutorial so that if you are working on this pattern, you can be extra clear on like the difference between these couple different stitches so that you don't have to go looking online and have a hard time figuring out what exactly you're trying to do. All right, so for this hat pattern, ta-da, this is how it's looking so far. I've already done a bunch of rounds so you can see how these stitches are leaning. We're going to be talking about the cross to front and cross to back stitches because that's the majority of what you're working here at the beginning. So what I have found in my research, talking to Maggie, trying to noodle this out, is that for these cross to front and cross to back stitches, the cabled stitch that will be in the front or the back is going to be knit. And then the other stitch that you are also working that is not part of the cable is going to be a purl stitch. So that's what makes this different than the cable to front or cable to back, where both stitches involved are going to be knit stitches. So that's the big deciding factor. For this cable to back that I'm going to be doing right here, which is a right leaning cable type stitch, I can actually do this without using a cable needle. So I'll show you how I'm going to be doing it. So I can actually knit the second stitch without dropping the first stitch off my needle. Not the most comfortable, but like definitely still doable. So I'm going to knit this stitch. And then before pulling everything off of the left needle, I'm going to then switch to purl the first stitch. So it just twists those stitches together. I can pop them off my needle, Ta-da! And so I've got that leaning cable that I wanted. Let's make our way over to the cross to front. Now this one, I couldn't figure out how to get it without my cable needle. I'm sure that if you are very skilled and have very dexterous hands, you could make it work. But I really don't like having stitches off a needle to then work other stitches and then pop things back on the needle. So I just like to use a cable needle. I'm going to take this cabled stitch that's going to go in the front. I'm going to put it on a cable needle, pop it in the front. Then I'm going to purl this other stitch, switch back to my cable needle, and knit this stitch. Whoops. Knit it. Ta-da! And so now I've got that left leaning cable stitch. So yeah, not super hard. And later on in the pattern, there is an abbreviation for cable to front, which will be then 2 knit stitches. But I hope this helps you if you had questions about this cross to front, cross to back versus a cable to front, cable to back, since online it was really hard to distinguish. And even the videos I did see that were showing this correctly didn't elaborate on what makes this different than cable to front, cable to back, which we'll see later on in the pattern too. We will touch base again soon as I make a little bit more progress on this hat, but I love how this is working up with this like light salmony corally color. You can see even like the purple coming through and some speckles. Super, super cute. And I am well on my way to getting this hat worked on. I hope I can get it done within just a couple days so I can finish out this video. I finished one full repeat of the body and I've started barely on the second. I'm just a couple rounds in. We'll see. I was thinking I might only do half of the repeat. I guess we'll see how far I get and how I like the fit. The decreases are not going to take up a ton of space, so maybe I will do the full repeat. I haven't decided. Making good progress. I can't talk because they just added rubber bands to my braces. So, sorry. Just doing a teeny tiny video right here. But yeah, it's coming along. It's a little looser than I expected. So, I'll have to look at my gauge. But probably I'm a little looser than Maggie was. I am knitting the smallest size. And while I do have a smaller than average head, I don't have a teeny tiny head, I suppose. But it's fitting comfortably. It's not super snug. And we are well on our way to completing the hat. I think actually at this point, I might start closing it up. I'm going to have to look at the pattern. I'm supposed to do 2 full repeats of this. And I've done a repeat and a half. Oh my gosh. And I've done a repeat and a half. And just looking at it, I don't like a super duper slouchy hat. So I think I will like it better if I start decreasing now. I'm mulling it over. Hello, another day, and we are finishing this video. Yeah, I have rubber bands, and I can't open my mouth very wide, so that's impacting my speech a little bit, so won't be talking too much. But I wanted to show you how far along I am on the hat, and I am having an easier time speaking than in my last clip, so I'll explain a little bit more. I only did 1.5 total repeats of this design because when I tried it on my head, it looked like it was plenty long enough and already had a little bit of a slouch. It's a little bit of a looser hat. So I did 1.5 instead of 2 repeats as recommended in the pattern. I do have a smaller head too, so that kind of checks out. And I'm decreasing now, though because I didn't do a full repeat, I can't follow the instructions exactly because of like where my knit stitches are. To rectify that, what I'm doing is I'm still decreasing
on purl stitches on either side of these cable bits, even if it doesn't match the pattern. And I'm just doing the correct number of rounds with these decreases at the correct intervals. So I think I'm on round 3 out of 10 rounds total for decreasing. So we're gonna knock out this hat, get her done, weave in ends, block it, and then we will do our final wrap up of this box. My stitches are starting to feel kind of tight and almost stretched out on this needle, so I'm gonna have to switch cords pretty soon. So we're getting there.
It's now blocking, and we will come back to this when it's all dry.
For Finish It February, I finally finished this book box. I am so excited. So here's the finished hat, blocked and everything. So here is the lovely hat. I adore these two colors together, and I definitely have more to say about this pattern, this book, this yarn, this box in general. So I do have my notes here so that we can get right into that. First, let's talk about the book, since I've kind of been focusing on the pattern in my vlogging most recently. So the book, First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. This is my first Ashley Elston book. I don't know, this might be even her debut. And this is classified as a thriller, though I did find it a little bit more on the suspense, spy vibes almost. She's not a spy, but that's kind of the feeling that I was getting as I was reading this book. I really enjoyed it. I rated it a 4.5 star. And I think that if you love thrillers, this might not be your cup of tea, but if you are the average person who may or may not enjoy reading a thriller, I think this would be very appealing to a wide range of audiences, if that makes sense. I loved how the characters were definitely morally gray, but they were a very light gray. They were not intensely morally gray. And that's one of my problems with a lot of thrillers, is that you're reading about really crummy people, and the people that you thought were maybe not so bad are actually even worse human beings than the protagonist that you already thought was a crummy human being. And it's just like a lot of not good feelings, and that's just not what I like in what I read. I know some people really love thrillers, but this book felt different than other popular thrillers that I've read, which I really appreciated because it just was a little tiptoe into the realm of thrillers. I do wish we had gotten more of Ryan's perspective, especially as the plot thickened later on in the story. I think it would have added to his characterization how well-rounded the story was if we had heard a little bit more from his perspective, especially as there was, red herrings popping up and questions about what was really going on and wonders of betrayal and things. I think that seeing his perspective more would have been really, really great. But I thoroughly enjoyed this book, and I feel good recommending it to just about everyone. Though, yeah, like I said, I feel like diehard thriller fans will not necessarily love this book, but I also don't think that they would hate it either. But this definitely appeals to a wider range of audiences than typical thrillers do. I really like this. I would definitely read more from Ashley Elston in the future, though I try to purchase books that I'll want to share with others, that I absolutely loved and want to display on my shelf, that I might reread. And while I rated this pretty high, I also don't feel like I want this on my bookshelf necessarily. I think if I find a secondhand copy or a really inexpensive copy, then I might totally snag it, but I also don't feel the pull like I have to have this on my shelf. Let's revisit everything else that was included in this box before we land on the yarn and talk about the pattern some more. I don't actually remember in what order I opened these, since I started this box end of November, early December, and then put it down. Yeah, I definitely needed to kind of wrap things up on this and just finish this hat, because hats are a pretty quick project. So Finish It February was the kick in the pants that I needed to prioritize this after having a couple really busy months. This book box came with this really cool like lunch bag, paper, yeah, by Out of the Woods. And it's like
an insulated bag, so I could use it as like a lunch bag. The outside for sure is made of like a decomposable paper or something. Yeah, made of paper pulp. So super interesting, really cool small business. And I love things that are more sustainable. There's also a couple of snacks that were just open in the box. I've waited to eat them until I could do this video, but there's some barbecue flavored potato chips and a little package of M&Ms and peanut butter M&Ms. So all good things. I'll probably share those with my daughter once I'm done with this video. And those were like some goodies that they picked up at a gas station during part of the book, which is so fun. There's a sticker, and I feel like this is different than any sticker I've gotten from Yarnaceous. It says, "Let's knit together." Cute with the little prints. There's also this like hand cream from Serious Hand Stuff. Contains horsetail butter, shea butter, coconut oil, jojoba oil, carnauba wax, arrowroot powder, and high fives. It almost smells a little bit like sunscreen, almost. It smells kind of familiar, but I can't put my finger on why. Definitely the coconut oil, but there's something else in there that smells familiar. It also came with these really cute stitch markers from Fangirl Fibers. They're like acrylic, and they're made to look like vintage perfume bottles, which is really cool. Kind of a nod to Evie Porter. And then there's this little Notion tin by Bad Friggin' Design. But it's got some veggies on the front for gardening. Their hopes and dreams of having a home and a garden together. Cute. I think that's everything, actually. Let's move on to the pattern and the yarn. So this pattern came in 3 installments within the box. And while it has information on how to get this pattern download, the pattern has not been uploaded to Ravelry. I don't blame Maggie because things get really, really busy, but I know that she's working on it. So keep an eye out for when this pattern comes out, and I'll make sure to let you guys know on my Instagram. Is probably the easiest way. I will just shout out to the world when I hear that this pattern is live on Ravelry, but this is going to be available that way. So if you prefer digital patterns, there's a way that you can convert this pattern to a digital copy when Maggie gets it uploaded to Ravelry. Came with 2 skeins of yarn, and oh my goodness, so pretty. Look at them together. I love it. So I kept my labels because I couldn't remember the names. So the DK weight yarn, this is her Bronto DK base in 85% superwash merino wool and 15% nylon. And this is called Evie Porter. It's this beautiful variegated that's like purple, pink. I've definitely purchased yarns within the same color family. This is definitely color palette that I love. This yarn is one that I'm not familiar with. I've never worked with it before this project. So this is her Cosmo Cash lace base, and it is 82% merino wool and 18% brushed cashmere. Very soft. And this colorway is called Just a Ghost. I love this like corally salmon color. Like it's deeper and a little bit more red than a typical salmon color. This yarn is more fragile than I expected, I guess. I was thinking it would be like, you know how mohair and Surrey have like a silk core. Silk is a pretty strong fiber, but this is wool and cashmere looking at the label again. So it broke when I was like tugging at it too hard. I had a knot and I was just trying to like pull the knot out, you know? And so sometimes when the yarn like twists and knots on itself, it'll come free pretty easily. Sometimes it takes a little bit of force, and that little bit of force to like really pull it apart just like broke my yarn. So it wasn't a big deal. I just had an extra end to weave in. So something that I didn't realize, that it was actually a little bit more on the fragile side compared to just a merino wool type of a yarn, but so soft. The hat, this is the Twisted Games hat by Maggie Fangman, again, who is the dyer behind Yarnaceous. This pattern comes in 3 sizes: adult small, medium, and large. The adult small is, let's see, a circumference of 20 inches around. Let me double check what my gauge was because I actually don't know, because I just cast on and knit. That was very bad of me. So my gauge seems pretty on point, though it's a little bit hard to measure like a 4-inch swatch of reverse stockinette when I've got all these cables running through. So I don't know. I felt like this hat was a little bit loose on my head, and typically my head is like a 21-inch circumference, if I remember correctly. So a 20-inch hat is like a little bit not snug enough for my preference. anyway. So after knitting it and blocking it, I kind of like smushed it together, especially the ribbing, but smushed it all together and kind of stretched it this way to try to make it fit like a little bit snugger circumference wise, because I really do like a snug hat. I've not tried it on since I blocked it, and we'll definitely do that for you, but I don't want to mess up my hair yet. So we're gonna talk about this pattern first. Yeah, I just love these two colors together. And this pattern got pretty intuitive actually, which was really nice to be able to just continue on working up this pattern until we got to the decreases, of course, and things had to be switched up. The pattern calls for 2 full repeats of this like diamond pattern, and I did a repeat and a half, so it was a little bit shorter than what was recommended just because I don't like a super slouchy hat. And so that meant that when I got to the decrease rounds, I had to kind of fudge where I did my decreases since it didn't make sense according to the pattern rounds, since I was at a different spot within the pattern repeat when I started the decreases, if that makes sense. It was only like 10 rounds. It was not a super huge issue, and I was able to pretty easily kind of mess with it and modify the pattern, throwing in some decreases regularly so that it made sense within this pattern. And this is the texture that came out on top of my hat as a result of that. Kind of a cool like starred pattern almost. I don't know how well you guys can see that because it's kind of cool. I feel like this pattern was written well, was clear to follow. I love these yarns together, and let's see how the hat does. Let's try it on. This is our first try on post blocking. Where's the back of the hat? Okay. So yeah, just a little bit of slouch is what I like. It does feel loose. Like it can stretch way farther than my head. So I think if I was to knit this again, I would maybe mess with the pattern to decrease the sizing even more. I do have a small head. I usually do the child large / adult small size. I prefer a more snug hat, and this is not super snug, but it's still very comfortable and still very wearable for me. Yeah, I'm like shaking my head. It's only scooching around a little bit, not super loose. Cute! Let me measure my yarn and see how much yarn I have left. I've got 31 grams left of the DK weight yarn, and I have 19 grams left of the lace, which came in a 50-gram put up. So I definitely have enough yarn to make something small, like maybe fingerless mitts or something could be fun. I'm not really sure what I'm going to use this scrap for, but I could do something. Or I could easily incorporate it into something else for like color work or a fun cuff on something. I'll have to kind of brainstorm. If you have any ideas of what to use the rest of this yarn for, let me know. There you have it, Yarnaceous Fibers First Lie Wins box that was released in November, end of October time, and I finally finished it. Just took a while for me to return to this project after some holiday and New Year's related chaos. I really enjoyed this book, and I wasn't sure if I would, but it really had me hooked even from the very beginning, and I really enjoyed it. I feel like Maggie's book taste really suit my book taste, which is really fun because I don't think I've read a book already that she has included in her book box. I've only read them for the first time as part of the book boxes. So she's introduced me to a lot of new books and some new authors, and it's been really fun to get these book boxes so I can gamify my reading and knitting experience. I love also that she includes some unique goodies within each package so that even if you keep ordering these book boxes, each one is unique and different. If you know of any other bookish yarn related things out there, book boxes or pre-order collections or whatnot that your favorite dyers are doing, then just let me know because I would love to partake and also share them here on my channel as I combine my love for books and my love for yarn. Thank you so much again for being here. Let me know down below if you got this book box or have another one waiting on deck that you're excited to get to. And until next time, happy making and happy reading. Bye!